All right, guys, I must be a 25-year-old courtside housewife because I'm heated as hell. Welcome back to Three in the Key, brought to you by Fine Bet. Me and two of the coolest dudes in sports journalism break down the NBA from matchups to social media shade to fashion. I'm Daniel Tran. Here with me is Sandeep, kicking it in the Bay. And as always, Henry Curry, a.k.a. Henry Curry, coming in from Southern California. Sandeep, I've been watching WandaVision. I'm obsessed with this thing. Dude, if you were stuck in an era of television, which era of television would you want to be stuck in?
Probably the 90s. The 90s is best for everything, dude. Like, let's be real.
Okay, which show? Which show, though?
Fresh Prince. Put me in Fresh Prince.
That's a great show. That's a great show.
My favorite show. Easy as easy.
All right. Henry, are you a big Marvel guy?
I am. I'll be honest. I just finished Infinity Wars not too long ago. But, I had to hop on the train, with quarantine and everything. But I guess you can call me a fan.
All right, sweet. Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, like if it was me, I think I'd like to be stuck in, like, Fresh Prince is a good one because you'd be rich. I think Entourage for me would probably be the other one, just so I could be rich and be surrounded by Hollywood honeys. But that's me.
You got room for one?
All right, guys. So let's talk about what happened this past week. Big headline this week for me was LeBron James and Courtside Karen. I mean, I don't know if you guys caught this, but LeBron James, I love this little meme that was made. LeBron James can't seem to catch a break against sideline hecklers, man. I mean, about a week after a Cavs executive caught LeBron James's attention, the wife of a billionaire decided to try her luck against the king. I mean, it all started with a regular courtside fan and billionaire, Chris Carlos, heckling LeBron James, and James responding with some trash talk of his own. But apparently, Carlos's wife, Juliana, decided she needed to back up her man. And she backed him up so well that they both got kicked out of the game, her and her husband. And then she went on Instagram and recorded a little tirade worthy of her Karen title, calling LeBron James a part of the female anatomy for one, and acting like she was entitled to talk shit because she, actually her husband, paid for those seats. Now, even before fans were banned because of COVID, they've been getting a little more entitled for my liking. It's like, I mean, people thinking they can say anything to these players or touch them and not have any consequences whatsoever. So my question for you, Sandeep, are stars these days getting a little too soft, or are fans too entitled?
I think it's the fans entitled, and it kind of even goes more into, like, first of all, like, just fans being at the game, right, in a time where it's surprising to see them, and why are they so close to the court if they are going to be there? Like,
right.
Back them up to, like, at least like the lower level, like you're having them right on the court, and these people are like, yeah, they're gonna pull down their masks to, like, eat something or sip on their drink, right? And that's what happened when she got into it with LeBron. Like, she pulled her mask down and she's yelling. And it's like, we don't know if they're doing COVID tests for all these people, right, courtside, or all these fans. And, like,
I mean, these are billionaires, man. They can just buy that away. They can buy COVID away, is what they're thinking.
Yeah, so just like you're putting players at risk, just having people that close. So, like, yeah, I don't think it's players being soft. I think it's just like fans feeling entitled, and especially with her, like you said, like, this wife of a billionaire. Like you said, she can make that go away. Like, she don't care at the end of the day because she's sitting on money, or sitting on her guy's money.
No, yeah, Henry. So when you saw that kind of, like, that story kind of unfolding, what was your initial reaction to it?
It's the fan entitlement. First of all, I don't know if you guys saw her Instagram story. There's one where one of the securities came up to her prior to the altercation, and they just asked her, like, can you put your mask on? Because she had her mask down during the game. And then she said COVID is a hoax. So I'm like, okay, first of all,
okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys
I would have tossed her out right then.
Oh my god. So it's just like, first of all, NBA don't have courtside fans, at least right now.
Right.
Come on, like, what are they doing? Second of all, obviously, courtside people are going to be the most entitled because they're the ones that can afford it or whatnot, or their husbands can afford it, in her situation. But yeah, it's just like, first of all, like, thank God she got kicked out. Second of all, like, she's putting others at risk for her negligence. So first of all, and, like, I didn't like her situation. She deserved all the slander she deserved on Twitter and, like, just social media. And the thing I disliked the most was, her reaction after the game. She had to announce how old she was and stuff like that. Like, LeBron is scared of a 25-year-old.
You're just being a jerk.
Yeah, and she shouldn't even have said that, because honestly, when I first saw her, I thought she was, like, in her 30s, 40s. Like,
yeah, I was like 25, bro. Like, no, there was a fake quote that somebody made up for LeBron. They're like, LeBron was saying like, yeah, I thought that was her dad, but then she started saying that was her husband, and then I got
No, dang.
I thought that was her dad too, but I don't know, man. Like that just I hope the NBA can use this as a regulator in terms of like moving forward and deciding, how close fans should be during games, at the worst, pretty much the worst point of the pandemic right now. But honestly, after that, she deserved her nickname Courtside Karen because goddamn, like she was Karen all around.
Hey, at least you got some clout.
I think that's why she posted it, because she knew she would get clout.
Yeah.
But like it's just so annoying because fans have been absent from NBA games for about a year, and here they open things up. They finally have finally have fans on the court, and you have this like fan altercation with somebody thinking that COVID apparently is a hoax and now is endangering everybody around them. And it doesn't make any sense for me how the NBA could allow a fan to get that close already when NBA players themselves are having trouble keeping the pandemic low too. So I don't know what sort of regulations the NBA has, whether that was the Atlanta Hawks that did that or not, like who was in charge of that. But it's a little problematic for me to have fans already on the court when the NBA has had trouble kind of containing the disease. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Money.
bro. Like, yeah. I mean, it's money, and then like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense because, like you said, players have been getting COVID. There's been so many games postponed already. The fact that they've already let fans in, like, I guess, like I still think it's too soon, but like they've been spacing them out, right? Like socially distancing them. You have to wear masks. But even then, it's so hard to regulate it, right? Because you're going to have like security can't be watching every single person in the arena at all times, right? People are going to be eating, like drinking, like I said, and so they're going to pull their masks down. And you don't know if those people have been positive or not because they're not doing rapid tests at the door,
Yeah.
It's just, this NBA is like, it's not a good look. And for being the most progressive league, you'd think they'd be smarter about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just hope that they kind of get that under control because we can't have more Courtside Karen incidents in the future. But to her credit, she did apologize, and I guess that's like a step further than a lot of billionaire wives would do. But it's just not a great look for the NBA. But who got a lot of good looks the other night was Fred VanVleet, who scored 54 points on the Magic. I mean, we were talking about a guy that's undrafted, and he's already having a career year, averaging 20.4 points per game, decided he wanted to have a career night, and he only took 23 shots to get to 53 points. That is to 54 points, and that is a ridiculous amount of efficiency. So he shot 74% from the field, 78.6% from three, hitting 11 threes.
Sheesh.
And Sports Info called it the most efficient 50-point game ever because he shot a 100.1 true shooting percentage, which is nearly impossible.
Wow.
And it is the highest point total for an undrafted player, eclipsing Moses Malone's 53 that he put up exactly 39 years before. And I think one of the more
to the day.
Wow. I didn't know that.
and it's crazy. So I like all that is great. Well, what impressed me the most, and like I'm just a weird NBA guy like this, he had 3 blocks standing at 6'1" in the NBA. So like this guy had a great all-around game. It was an amazing thing to see. Physically speaking, I'm looking at Fred VanVleet. He is so ordinary looking. I mean, 6'1", 195 listed, but this was an extraordinary game. Sandeep, what makes VanVleet so special?
I'll tell you what, man, it's crazy because I'm literally 6'1", 195. I'm literally like the same build as like VanVleet, except he's obviously.
Get it, bro. You're over 6 feet.
Light flex. But VanVleet's like
Tinder flex.
VanVleet's muscle. Like he's obviously like he works out a lot because the NBA guy, right, of course, and
he's thick.
Yeah, he's thick. The guy's built like he built different for real. Like not like I'm not like that. You know what I mean? But he's man, like to go like you said, undrafted, bro, and like to put up 54 points, like, and he's an underrated defender. He's one of those scrappy guys. People don't give him credit for that, but like he's able to even guard some of like the wings, because he has like the guys that are shorter, like they have leverage, right? Especially when they're strong. That's why Marcus Smart is such a good defender. Avery Bradley, these guys like they're really strong legs and stuff. And that's where VanVleet like is able to hold his weight. So crazy, man. Like you said, the efficiency, 11 threes, He had like 3 blocks, like you mentioned. He had a few steals. I had one of my fantasy teams. So I was like, dude, my guy balled out, bro.
He got you that week. He got you that week.
Literally.
So Henry, when you look at Fred's game, what is the thing that sticks out the most to you? Because looking at him, it doesn't look like he's anything special, but obviously he is.
The fact that he's so relentless, especially at his height. He's pretty much, I guess you can say he's at this point, he's Toronto's best guard. Like he makes a terrific duo with Kyle Lowry, but let's give Fred VanVleet credit. He's undrafted and he's proved his worth not only on an NBA team, on what he's an NBA champion. He was a catalyst in that 2019 championship run, and now he's just like individually, he's just progressing every single year, which you love to see, because when I saw this type of performance, it reminded me when Fred VanVleet, he had like a draft party, for him, like for his draft night. And when he went undrafted, I saw the video where he was talking to everybody that attended, and he just was so thankful, that he didn't lose hope. And just to see those type of players make it in the league, it really brings comfort for a lot of people trying to make it to the league and everything. And Fred VanVleet, he's a baller, man, especially at his height. People call him and Kyle Lowry the thickest backcourt in the league, which
they earned that. They earned that.
But like, man, those two can ball, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fred VanVleet finds himself being an All-Star reserve at least next year or the year after that. So,
dude, maybe this year.
Maybe
the way he's putting up numbers.
20.4 points a game. It's not bad. It's not bad. It definitely has the attention of a lot of people. I mean, he also is averaging over 6 assists a game. So, I mean, he's definitely up there. But like, Mike, the question I want to ask is that obviously they've invested in him and Siakam, right? This is like their youth movement. Lowry isn't getting any younger. So is VanVleet the player to build around, number one? And number two, what is the player that will best complement VanVleet and his playing style, Sandeep?
Dude, they need to flip Siakam for Beal. Like, I don't think Siakam is like the guy they want to build around. Like he still can't really shoot consistently from the outside. We all know he only has the spin move like in his bag. That's about it. Like, it's so predictable. You guys see all the memes on like Instagram and Twitter.
Oh yeah,
where people just put like his spin cycle like on the loop. You know what I mean? Like he's decent, but I think VanVleet is like the guy. Like, maybe he doesn't have to be the one they build around, but he's the one that, like, if I'm the Raptors GM, like Masai Ujiri, that's a guy I want to keep. Like, I don't want to let him go. Yeah. To me, Siakam's expandable. I would try to package him, in some kind of deal if they can, and try to get Bradley Beal, because like if you have a trio of VanVleet, Bradley Beal, and OG Anunoby, I think that could be like a pretty solid trio for like years to come, because all those guys are in their prime.
Yeah, Henry, what do you think?
I think we gotta, like, I know this, it's not a stretch. Like, I feel like we need to give Siakam kind of some slack, because let's remember that he did come up and he put himself on the map in that 2019 run. And in 2020, it wasn't a regular season. It was a very extraordinary season. There's the hiatus and then there's the bubble. And you know what? Evidently, we saw some players did worse in the bubble and some players did better. Right now, Jamal Murray is playing subpar to what he did in the bubble, and other players as well. And some players that usually perform better didn't perform as well. Siakam being one of them.
But Siakam in 2019 didn't have to be the guy. Like, Kawhi was the guy, and
Kawhi was the guy, yeah.
And now it's like you're in the bubble, but like
Kawhi was the guy. But I think we also got to remember that Pascal Siakam made a name for himself in that championship run, and I'll give him credit for that, because that was the first time he put himself on my radar. And I know for like many other people, I'm not going to speak for every NBA fan. And then he
was great. He was great in the finals. Yeah. I remember he dropped like 30 points in game one.
So with that being said, like, do you guys think if it was like a normal NBA season that he wouldn't be performing as mediocre as he is? Like, do you think this whole thing has an effect on his play, or there's really like no excuse in his hiccups that we're seeing in his play?
Dude, if he wants to be a star, I feel like this shouldn't be the thing. It's like I feel like without fans there, it's less pressure. Without like the constant traveling, because even like in a regular NBA season, they'd be traveling a lot more. So things are actually kind of set up for him to succeed, but he's just not succeeding. It's kind of strange that all of these things are kind of working for him as a young player trying to be a star, and it's just not for some reason. He's not taking that next step, and it's very odd for me to see such a talented player just not take that next step, especially after he showed flashes of that the last couple of seasons. Sandeep, what do you think?
Look, I think this year he's been good. So I think he averaged under 20 points a game. His shooting percentages were like among the worst. I remember reading an article on like ESPN. Also, just like from the entire last season, I think he had the worst shooting percentage on jump shots for like guys who attempted a minimum of like 100 shots. Obviously not good. And so as soon as you like look at those numbers and you watch your film in the offseason, like what should you be doing? Working on your shot, right? Like trying to figure out like, all right, what can I fix? Is it my legs? I need more legs in it. Is it my release? Like whatever it is. And it just, you haven't seen that. We know he's a good finisher. Like he can finish at the rim. He's great in transition. That's where he thrives. Because he's very lengthy. He's like 6'9" or whatever. But you got to go like, it's a half court game that he's got to take a step on. And he's still only like maybe 25 or 26 years old. So
yeah,
maybe
he time.
He does have time. But he's got to, I think if you're the Raptors, he's not like untouchable by any means.
Yeah.
No, definitely not untouchable. All right, let's move forward with another game that happened this past week. The Nets topped the Clippers in Brooklyn, and James Harden notched his second straight triple-double. I mean, this guy's been playing amazing since he's made that jump. I think Harden is a completely different beast in Brooklyn than he was in Houston. We got Kyrie, who led the Nets in scoring, scored 39. Durant scored 28 on 84.6% shooting. I mean, this guy's a freaking like sniper out there, like easy sniper,
easy money sniper,
easy money sniper. And they've been 7-3 since acquiring Harden. The Clippers, even with that loss, they already won 11 of their last 13, including a 22-point win after that loss against the Nets. So they'll be fine. But when it comes to these Nets, what sort of things are you seeing from the time that they did acquire Harden to now that they've improved on, Henry?
Just the pretty much like the way the Nets can facilitate through an extra player, because they predominantly, relied on KD and Kyrie making their own shot. But we're seeing James Harden, becoming, I'm not saying he's now becoming only a spot up shooter. He can obviously still make his own shot, but he's becoming more of a facilitator because he's been averaging more than 10 assists per game for the Nets. So one, he's actually trying in Brooklyn. So like now that Houston, like,
it's amazing what happens.
Yeah, it's
right.
Happens,
a little effort goes a long way, bro.
He's like exactly, and we'll remember like James Harden led the league in assists not too long ago. So now that the Nets have that, and Kyrie's not a pass first point guard, we all know that. KD is not a pass first player. So I think this trio is going to work out better than we thought, because I think people forgot a little bit that, oh wait, James Harden used to lead the league in assists, so he can be a facilitator for this team when need be. And I think something else that came up was made me realize how, I think not that we all forgot how clutch Kyrie is, but goddamn, Kyrie in the clutch, man, like that man is almost unstoppable. He with that game, I was thinking like maybe he's their first option coming down the stretch. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think?
I mean, since they got the made the trade, it was like obviously Kyrie was out at the time, right? So we saw Harden and Durant play together, and that's something we had seen before. So like they were looking good. And then I think we saw like all three of them play together, and then we saw Kyrie and Harden only, right? The two of them, because KD sat out a game. We knew they were going to be good offensively, right? Because they can all score the ball. Harden said he wanted to just do whatever it takes to win, and he's been showing that. Like you said, he's been playing the facilitator role. He's not nearly taking as many like of the shots he would take when he was with Houston, right? Where he felt like he said he felt like he had to do that for them to win games, and to his credit, maybe he was right, because he's not doing that now and they're winning, and he's the best playmaker on their team. Like Henry said, like Kyrie is a great, scorer, and that's why he thrived alongside LeBron in Cleveland, because he could focus on scoring. And KD, I mean, the guy takes 13 shots and gives you nearly 30 points. It's ridiculous, and so, but the difference in that game against the Clippers was it was the second half when the Nets actually started focusing on defense, because the first half they were getting destroyed, especially in the first quarter. Like the Clippers were up by like 16 or 17 early, and Kawhi was torching them. And then I think it was in the third quarter where KD stepped up and he started to put the clamps on Kawhi, and he was making things difficult with his length. He was going straight up at the rim, challenging shots. We saw the defense that he was playing like when he was up here in the Bay with the Warriors. He learned how to play that championship level defense, and I think the Nets know they got to clean things up on defense. If they want to win a championship or make a run in the playoffs, because they have no problem scoring the ball. Like they lead the league in scoring since getting Harden, but they're also like the worst scoring defense in NBA history since getting Harden too. So it's going to be an effort thing. And they might have to make another move or two to clean up or add like a little more rim protection or some wing defense. But when you have those three guys on the team, like you're always going to have a chance to win.
Yeah, like when I'm watching this team, I'm obviously looking at Steve Nash, the coach. Steve Nash, heavily influenced by Mike D'Antoni's offense, where he was running it, right? And I'm seeing Harden step into that role that Steve Nash had. And if I think about Steve Nash in that role and then James Harden in that role, how freaking scary is that? We didn't think that we'd see anybody run that 7 seconds or less offense better than Nash. But I mean, now you have a guy that not only can pass, but he can also score the hell out of the ball. So now we have like basically Steve Nash, but Steve Nash 2.0 running the 7 seconds or less offense. And that's a scary thought when it comes to these Nets. Cause I mean, with Nash running that team back in the day, they seemed like they were unstoppable just because he was able to find open people, hit open shots. Now they have Harden at the top that can find open people, create shots, his own shot, and then make 3-point shots. And it's kind of crazy to watch how efficient these Nets are on the offensive end and how just god awful they are on the defensive end. But I'm sure they'll figure it out in the coming weeks. Speaking of the coming weeks. Oh, no, go for it. Go for it.
One more thing real quick. At the end of the game, I'm sure you guys noticed this too. There was like 3 straight possessions. The first one, Kyrie hits a 3. Second one, I think Harden hit a 3. And then the third possession, like KD hit a mid-range. And this was all like within the final 2 minutes. Like you have all 3 of their best players exchanging like clutch shots down the stretch. Like, and that's why like people like been debating like, who's going to be the person that closes out games. It's like, obviously it can be all 3 of them. You know, like,
it could be.
Yeah, it's literally pick your poison.
Yeah, they have. I think all 3 of them have that gene within them where it's like they're ready at all times to make that dagger shot, which is good because I mean now you don't have to focus in on one person. You can just distribute the ball. So I think it'll work out for them in the near future for sure. So with the Nets, like I'm looking forward to watching them actually against the Sixers. So the Nets have been on a pretty decent tear lately. They've won 5 of their last 6. And they have 2 MVP winners on their team. The Sixers, they're at the top of the conference and they're 3rd in defensive rating with 1 MVP candidate on their team. That's Joel Embiid having just an incredible year for that team. And I think it's a good measuring stick for both teams. I think with the Nets, it's like, hey, like where are we at in terms of the hierarchy? And then the Sixers, it's like, hey, there's this team with freaking all-stars on them. Let's see how good we can take, let's see how the best shot that we can take from them kind of thing. So, Sandeep, when you're looking at this game specifically, how do you think it's going to go?
This is not going to be one of those. I don't think it's going to be one of those high-scoring games. Like you said, Sixers are 3rd in defensive rating. They have a lot of good individual defenders, and that's what makes them like a good defensive team as a unit. And so I think they're going to be coming out and trying to show them like, hey, like no matter how many stars you guys got, like this, we're legit this year, and defense is what wins championships, right? Even though the Sixers haven't done that yet, but they have the formula right now. So I expect Embiid to dominate. Like the Nets have nobody that can guard him, stop him. Mm-hmm. They're gonna have to throw double teams at him all day, which I would be surprised if Nash didn't do that from the jump. Force them to make threes, force Ben Simmons to leave him open. Go double with his guy. It's gonna be a good game. Is that game in Philly or is it in Brooklyn?
I think it's in Philly.
I'm gonna take the Sixers to win. I think Nets are gonna get a little reality check against one of the top dogs.
Oh, okay. All right, Henry, what do you think?
No, I agree with Sandeep. I think the Nets are gonna fall to the Sixers for that reason. One, they're playing in Philly. 2, they're playing against the 3rd ranking defensive team in the NBA. And remember, the Nets are dead last in that. So ever since giving up Jared Allen, their defense has not been the best, which is funny because I think Rockets are number 1 now, right? In defensive rating. So, you give up. You
mean Cleveland?
Oh, Cleveland is?
Are you talking? Or are you saying? Oh, because they you're saying because the Rockets traded Harden, they're doing better defensively too.
Yeah. So okay. They both teams obviously gave up something and gained something, but that's what the Nets are. They're really lacking right now. And you know what? I'm not going to be surprised before the trade deadline they get another asset on defense. But who would they trade at this point. But yeah, I can see the Sixers coming on top because nobody who's gonna guard Joel Embiid down low. Nobody.
It's gonna take
Nobody
all
can.
5 of them.
Nobody.
Yeah, it's like DeAndre Jordan's not going to do anything.
Yeah,
Nah.
if KD gets switched on him somehow, KD like amazing player, but he's gonna get bodied by Joel Embiid. He's just like too much of a big body. And Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, they're great defenders, so they can hold their own against guarding KD, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. So I expect this to be a game where the Nets struggle a little bit offensively, at least down low. In the perimeter, they shouldn't have too much of a problem because they have a lot of talent. But yeah, I wouldn't count out the Sixers. They're a legit team. They're 12-0 with their usual starting lineup so far. So they're doing something right. And obviously they have Doc Rivers now. So I think this was the perfect move for the Sixers because they're rolling right now. But the real question is, can Joel Embiid prove his MVP worthiness against, beating his contemporaries, in terms of like KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. But like Sandeep, I got the Sixers winning this one. What about you, Dan?
Looking at it right now, I'm just gonna, because you guys both said the Sixers, I think I'm gonna make a name for the Nets because I used to.
You win the hat.
I got to make my case for them. I mean, they've like, as much as we given them crap about defending, I think that they've shown us, especially against the Clippers, that when it actually counts, they can actually clamp down on somebody. And I think because there's obviously the reputation that they built over the last couple of weeks, but I think they've improved. Actually, they're no longer dead last in those defensive categories now. They're like 28th instead. So they're climbing up. They're climbing up, man. I think the offense. I think as good as the Sixers are defensively, man, it's like, can they really defend all three of those guys at the same time? And then they have Joe Harris, who's also having like a pretty decent year shooting the heck out of the ball. So it's kind of like pick your poison, and then there's another poison for you to have after that. So I think in this game, I think the Sixers kind of take the Nets a little lightly, if that makes any sense, because they're the top dog, right? I feel like they have the swagger about them that I think is going to carry over into hubris more so than anything else. And I think the Nets might catch them a little bit.
Hot take. If the Nets do make another move to improve their defense, I think Joe Harris will get traded.
Ooh, he's a great asset to trade. I think if they get a dependable 3-and-D guy, that's going to make them a true championship team in the East. That's a great look, Sandeep. I like that. All right, so let's look more forward to how it plays out. Yeah, we'll look more forward to like the near future. So tonight, actually, we got Warriors, Mavs, and Lakers, Nuggets in the TNT slots, and those provide some great matchups. The Warriors, Mavs. I'm looking at Steph and I'm looking at Luka, two of the highest usage guys, great scorers. I think that I'm looking at this matchup, and because Steph is Steph, I think he gets the better of this matchup. I think he scores more than Luka. Yeah. Sandeep, what are you seeing out there with this matchup?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Warriors have some good individual defenders that they can throw at Luka, right? Andrew Wiggins, Oubre, even though he can't shoot the ball, he's been good on defense this year. Even Draymond, right, can obviously check him. So they got three different guys that they can throw at Luka. And then on the flip side, Mavs don't really have anyone who's that great of a defender. Like Josh Richardson's okay, but I think Steph is about to eat. So I'll take the over with him.
Yeah, Henry. This is the Western Conference matchup that I think a lot of people were looking forward to. What do you think about the Luka versus Steph? What they're about to do?
I can see Curry coming out with more points in this one because one, he's averaging 28 points per game this season, and he's on a roll. Like with no James Wiseman, no Clay, like he's obviously stepped it up a lot more than what people expected coming off an injury in a season he hasn't played. So he's back to Chef Curry mode, which is great to see for the league. And the Mavs are struggling right now. They're three of 7 of their last 10. So the Mavs are struggling. Luka's frustrated. Kristaps Porzingis still needs to get back into his role. So I don't think the league expected. I expected Luka to be one of my MVP candidates, but at this point I don't have him there. And which is a disappointment to see, because this is why I brought up the whole like fan situation and stuff like that, because Luka is one of those players that really seem to thrive off of fan interaction, and just like his fan reaction to his play like made him better. And we could talk about the whole mental aspect of that, but I can see like Luka is frustrated. The Mavs know they can be better, and I think they really miss Seth Curry now. Giving him up was huge because he was a catalyst for their perimeter play. But Steph Curry, I can see him. I can see the Warriors winning this one, especially because Kelly Oubre is playing a little better, which is great to see. And there's those trade rumors, so he probably heard those trade rumors and stuff. So he's trying not to get traded.
Right.
Hey, Warriors missing a few guys though. Like Weissman's out, Looney's out, and Eric Pascal is out too. They're like running short on bigs.
Yeah, true. But like I said, the Mavs are three. They've only won 3 games of their last 10 games. So it's just like, they're struggling as a whole, and they got all their
They
pieces.
need it more.
Yeah, the Warriors right now are 5-5 of the last 10. So without some of their main pieces, they're still staying afloat. So I think that's something to take into consideration. And Steph Curry's been balling, man. Like no more no more like slander or anything, but like, yeah, he's balling. He's an MVP candidate for sure, and that's why I have him over Luka at least tonight, because Luka is not in that conversation, at least for now.
Yeah, but who is in that MVP conversation is Jokic, man. He's having another career year, and he faces off against Anthony Davis today, another kind of just superstar on that Lakers team. While LeBron James might get more MVP votes than Anthony Davis, I mean, this is a great matchup with the bigs, Davis versus Jokic. I think Davis, as good as he is defensively, I don't know if there's anybody that can really stop the skill of Jokic right now, because that guy can just do everything on the court, and he can control the game while only like running a 6'3", 40 time. And it's crazy to see how athletic this guy is, but so athletic at the same time. Sandeep, like, what do you see in this matchup with our team, the Lakers, against Jokic, this monster that I hate every time the Lakers go against him, because it's kind of crazy to see him dominate like that.
Yeah, he dominates, against the Lakers. We saw it in the playoffs last year, especially that one game that came down to the end, right? I think that was the one where AD ended up hitting the game winner. But Jokic's obviously having a great season. He's my leading candidate. It's either him or Embiid right now for MVP. He's putting up ridiculous numbers, and hopefully we get to see more of him matched up with AD than Gasol guarding him. That'll probably be the matchup in the beginning with Gasol, but once the Lakers get into their rotation and to close out the game, it'll be AD at the 5, right? So
yeah,
even though AD hasn't been like quite himself this year, I think he's gonna come out like with a little chip on his shoulder, because he wants to play well in this game and show people that he's still the best big, right, in the NBA. He may not have like quite the offensive game that Jokic will, but I think defensively he's gonna come out like locked in. So I'm excited. It's I think Jokic will put up the better numbers, but I think AD is gonna make it tough for him, and I think Lakers will come out with a win.
Yeah, Henry, what do you think, man?
I love watching Jokic play, because out of nowhere, first of all, he's one of the most unorthodox players I've ever seen in my life. Not the most athletic, but somehow he comes out with numbers like 37, 12, and 13 at the end of the game. So it's kind of crazy to see. You kind of wonder, like, how does he do that? Against a player like Anthony Davis, that Jokic is an MVP candidate. But I do remember also like Jamal Murray isn't playing bubble Murray type basketball, so that's what kept him afloat. That's what kept the Nuggets afloat against the Lakers, because the Lakers are a powerhouse. They got only better this season, so I can see the Lakers coming out this game, even though I don't want them to. You guys know me. but I expect Jokic to have a triple double. He's almost averaging, or if I'm not mistaken, averaging his triple double. So, and I expect him to have another crazy stat line game, like pull up a 30 plus with, 15 rebounds and 13 assists, because he's that much of he's a unicorn in himself. We have so many unicorns in the league right now. It's kind of crazy to see. But if other guys in the Nuggets don't step it up, if Jamal Murray, he's been averaging 19 points a game this season.
He's going to get clamped, bro. He's getting clamped by Schroeder and Caruso. Watch.
Sure, no. He's you being biased right now, but no, Jamal Murray can give him buckets. I think we all know that. But if it were bubble Jamal Murray, it'd be a different story. But he's not playing the same way I thought he will be playing this season. So also is like he's on that conversation with Tyler Hero and players that like kind of dwindled down a little bit after the bubble. But the Nuggets are still a squad. You know, Mike Malone is one of the best coach in the NBA. So they're gonna give you guys a run for your money. But I can see the Lakers coming out on top.
That's all we needed to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's all
I'll
I
take
wanted
that
to hear.
back.
Yeah. So, I mean, like this, just touching upon it quickly, the All-Star vote did open up. Go ahead and vote for your favorite All-Stars. But that's it for this show today. Episode of 3 of the Key is over. Thank you for listening, and be sure to